Hello, and welcome to When Music Meets Mindfulness. I'm your host, Vania Chan. Today, our featured guest is Alice Ping Yee Ho, one of Canada's most acclaimed composers prolifically writing today. Alice has written in many musical genres and received numerous national and international awards. I've had the pleasure of collaborating with Alice in several of her wonderful works. I'm so grateful that you agreed to join me for this discussion on music and mindfulness. How are you today, Alice?
Great. And thank you, Vania, for inviting me in this discussion. Always pleasure to talk to you and working with you.
Yes, always a pleasure, Alice. I feel the same. So let's dive into our first topic, calming the mind. Could you share some routines and activities that you feel help calm your mind, heighten awareness, and bring your focus to the present moment?
I function the best in the morning. I think for any creative person, the criteria is good health, a good rest. And I think in the morning, I feel my mind is much more clear, and after a restful night, also I feel calm as well. Nothing actually happened yet during the day. So naturally, it is, a state of peacefulness in the morning for me. And my routine is I get up, I make myself I call it Hong Kong style tea, which I enjoy a lot with plenty of sugar and carnation milk and black tea, and then after that I just go to the computer and work on my projects, and that's how my day starts. I also feel my routine changes when with my age as well. I think when I was younger, because I have a job like, teaching piano, and, as a mother, so much things to take care of. I usually work at night when, everyone go to bed, and I have that peacefulness, the quietness, which is quite important. When you're being isolated, no one disturbs you, you're able to focus. But my family now all grown, and they don't need me anymore. So my routine changed, and more I become a morning person. And when I start a piece, the beginning is the most difficult stage. When I have to struggle with what I want to do. But once I get into the core of the work, and I know what direction I'm going, sometimes I don't really want to stop. Even I want to skip a meal because I can't wait to to capture all the stuff I have in mind. But I realize, breaks are great. We need to take breaks because, you get really tired. Walking is nice. I like to take walks, and maybe a nap too.
All of that sounds really good. We do have to take care of ourselves, even if we get lost in the creative process. It is important to take breaks and refresh ourselves. So let's move on to our second topic, organizing our thoughts. Could you share the process that you undergo when you begin a new composition? Do you find you have a similar process every time you compose a new work, or does it differ depending on the kind of piece that you're creating?
I think really depends on the kind of pieces I'm creating. And I'm really into a lot of things. Actually, I don't enclose myself only in a certain style or approaches. I'm really interested in many cultures, even pop cultures, and instruments. And now I'm really excited, with electronic music and videos, that sort of stuff. So every piece is different, depend, the purpose of the work. My direction quite extreme from, atonal music, a lot of complexity, to something really lyrical, depending on what's the commissioner or the nature of the piece is requiring. Let's say the three opera that I wrote so far, they all tie with Chinese culture. The last piece, the big opera Chinatown, which in Vania, I have the pleasure of working with you. I can't use any atonality, basically, because it doesn't reflect the authenticity of the piece. But on the other hand, there are lots of research as well. I think the scary thing is every piece demands something different in terms of instruments. Some requirement that I have to write for a Chinese instrument, that I really have to do some research and study some scores, listen to some music, and even go to the performers about their how to execute certain basic things or effects. So the research is important in many of the projects. And the second stage is I will like to develop a gesture or an element that is unique, that is interesting. It doesn't matter, maybe a sort of color, as unusual effects, or a melody, or some harmonic treatment that excite me, and then I try to grab it and work at it. Sometimes it's very frustrating because when I start with something that is so exciting, and then after a few days, no, it doesn't go anywhere. It is hitting a wall. So it's full of challenges. But always I have to find solutions. Yeah, it could be quite strategic and even mathematic. Have the logic, how the sound go, which is convincing to me. For me, the playback is very important, and I really and I'm glad that now the software system has really great instrument bank, so I can actually listen to it quite precisely. I think the two things that I have to separate myself, one is notation. When I'm commissioned to write for instrumentalists, definitely, opera or large ensemble, definitely I have to notate the music. But then now I have the opportunity to collaborate with choreographer, dance company, or film projects. Then I'm free to just use the sound itself, and I'm so grateful I have the I use Cubase, and so just work at the time. I don't have to notate, and I just work with different things and overlapping and cutting, and so those are very, very exciting as well. But I wish I can find a way to blend the two things together. But right now my brain seems to be functioning in two directions.
That's really interesting. Well, that's great. I love hearing about your different approaches and how you have both a structured process, but also the flexibility that you're balancing between the two, depending on the kind of project that you're working on. And that shows that whole creative process. I guess this sort of leads us into our next question. It's very much tied into a lot of what you've been saying already. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the psychologist who came up with the concept of flow, the state in which the mind-body connection has been finely tuned to the point that performance seems effortless, spontaneous, and enjoyable. And often this term is applied to athletes and performing artists who have clear goals that they need to accomplish within a live performance context. The following quote that I wanted to share by Csikszentmihalyi describes how this concept of flow can occur during the creative process. Although he describes a painter in this quote, I believe it's just as applicable to a composer. In some creative activities where goals are not clearly set in advance, a person must develop a strong personal sense of what she intends to do. The artist might not have a visual image of what the finished painting should look like, but when the picture has progressed to a certain point, she should know whether this is what she wanted to achieve or not. And a painter who enjoys painting must have internalized criteria for good or bad, so that after each brush stroke, she can say, yes, this works, or no, this doesn't. Without such internal guidelines, it is impossible to experience flow. So Alice, my question for you is, can you personally relate to this quote? Do you find that through your compositional process, you are developing an internal creative compass?
During the creative process, when I started an idea, and I start to shape it, like perhaps like a sculptor or painter. The more I shape it, the more exciting it gets. Sometimes, as I said, it could hit a wall that I did not like it. But then when I hit that wall, I always try to find solution to turn it around and maneuver. And I just feel a lot of the ideas that are dumb, I can use it at the end. And I think the flow process is there's a guide that I think I guide by, let's say, by ears, by listening, and by my conscience, that I have to write from my heart, not only just write something that to impress or something really just to have a big impact. Have to be, as I get older, I would want the music to be has an element that touch people in a way, that speaks something. So that is some sort of a guideline. And once I capture it and want to make it interesting, yeah, it seems like a graph. The beginning is really, really slow, and then getting a little bit better. And at the end, it goes really fast. I think it's the process that why when I capture that, the flow process, this is really quite quite rewarding. Ones have to believe in themselves as well. When I was a student, there were so many information from from the academics, and sometimes very confusing. This is good because one have to learn the craft and the discipline, but once you get out of it, the creativity always is about you. Like
Yes.
performers, a painter, define themselves. If you capture that flow process in every single work, it's a joy. That's why people like to compose, or people like to perform, I believe.
I feel really blessed. Together, we've had so many wonderful opportunities where I think we've experienced flow both in the final performance, but also in the collaboration, just being able to sort of give and take. I've learned so much from you singing your works, and I always hope that I give my 100% to you when you're in the creative process, like if I can offer something.
I talk about believing in oneself, and also good vibe. That's like you bring a very good point, like a good person to work with, like yourself, a profound musician with a vision, and also very supportive. Absolutely, will help the the final product to be really meaningful. Yeah, I have worked with numerous people, and some more supportive than the others in different scenarios. They all, whether they are supportive or they are negative, it also inspires me to do better. But definitely when there's a good vibe, it's just a blessing. We talk about also resilience as well. Flow doesn't come easier, but sometimes you have to attain it by believing.
Thank you again, Alice, for being here and for sharing the mindful and creative process that you undergo when writing your compositions. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. See you next time on When Music Meets Mindfulness.